Should we then continue watching K-drama? 한국말 잘 못했어. We were created to long for these kind of emotions or to respond to these kind of things. Hi there, my name is Edra,
And my name is Yen Ping.
and this is the Teo-logy podcast.
So, in the previous episode, Edril started out by asking me a question. So, today I will ask him a question. And my question is has there been any change in your lifestyle since you got married?
One thing's for sure, I ended up watching more Korean dramas with you. Yeah, that's one thing that's changed.
Do you enjoy it? Or so why do you watch more now?
I think initially I started off as I wanted to do something more intentional with my wife, Yan Ping. And I started off with, me being the more sacrificial person. I am not going to demand of her to do things with me. I know her well enough that her brain doesn't function that way. But I have a capacity to sit down and watch. And initially, I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous. You know, like the typical how a guy gets into Korean drama. It's like, oh, this show is so stupid. Was so cringe. I sit down. Why did he do that? Huh? Then after that, I start laughing with my wife, and then in the end, enjoying the whole show. So yeah.
Yep. And the funny part is, I might be the one that starts out wanting to watch the show, but because Edra is the type that will just absorb his surroundings, right? So I want to watch the drama, the K-drama, but he becomes the K-drama.
Oh. 근데 왜냐면 저는 말레이시아 사람입니다. 한국말 잘 못했어.
그래.
그래. 그리고 코리안 한국 사람 뚜떡도 말 없어. 하지만 if you learn how to speak, 우리 can talk together.
안 돼, 싫어요.
왜?
Yeah, but he will do this kind of thing, so he'll pick up things very fast, and when we're done with a show, he will absorb it into his everyday life. So I remember there was a time where he said, dear, can you turn on the Wi-Fi?
Yeah. And this doesn't just stick with Korean, it's any other show. You know, if you show me a Thai show and then all of a sudden I will go Sawadee-Cup all of a sudden, yeah.
Yeah, so that's Edro.
But which brings us to this topic lah, which is I'm sure a lot of people have talked about it, but the idea here is what is the K dramas appeal to the Malaysian? Yeah, and why we need to talk about it, and what it matters to you listeners lah. So that's what we're going to discuss today lah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start with a more fun, simple question. So, what was the first K-drama that you ever watched?
For me, I stumbled across this drama, this K-drama, and I watched with my mom back when I was like 17, 18, I think.
So this is before my time, right?
Yeah,
I'm
before
not the one
even
who introduced you.
Yeah. But then I stopped watching after that. You know, it's Yuhi the Witch. It's about this rich CEO lady who marries this poor man, falls in love with this poor man. Yeah.
A very common theme in a lot of K-dramas. I feel like the poor and the rich.
So what about you?
My first drama also watched with mom. I think back then it was the time when the ajumas, the aunties were into the K-drama thing, not yet the younger people, right?
Yes, they were the ones crying, and
they started it all.
Yeah, but I do not know whether they were the reasons that the younger generations enjoy K-drama after that.
No, I think the Korean culture or the Korean entertainment industry significantly tweaked it to cater to a different audience, and we'll talk about that in a bit. My K-drama, my first one, I think it was called Puppy Love. Not a very famous one, even before Winter Sonata came out. But it had all the usual typical back then K-drama themes. You know, it had like the guy falls in love with the girl and then finds out that they're brothers and sisters or half brothers and sisters. That typical kind of, oh, so I need to break up with you even though I don't want to. But yeah, so Korean dramas have evolved a lot since, and as we mentioned, it has catered to a different audience already. You see a lot of younger people, younger girls, guys also, being into it. And I actually remember, this was quite bizarre for me, being in London, and at the square there were probably like hundreds of people, not Asian, but they were all dancing to Gangnam Style.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Oppa Gangnam Style.
yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't brain that, and
Yeah.
I remember being in a classroom, a British classroom, and there was a girl there who was being distracted. She wasn't doing her math homework, right, which is a very common scene in any school. But what she was doing by being distracted was she was practicing writing Korean.
Huh. But during her free time, like it's
Yeah.
not part of the syllabus whatsoever.
No, I mean she was distracted basically, but she
Ah.
was a British girl who was obsessed and was trying to practice writing and learning Korean.
So the question is, what makes a British person
Yeah.
uh, obsessed with a culture other than their own?
Yeah, and how did K drama become this big and involved? And one very interesting video that I watched, and I looked up the articles after that, was that K dramas or the whole K pop wave, right, was a Korean public policy.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay. How did it come about the policy? Explain a bit more.
yeah. So in 1993, Jurassic Park came out.
I remember the movie.
Yeah, and a year later, there was this Korean white paper stating or comparing the fact that Jurassic Park merchandise earned more than 1.5 million Hyundai cars or something like that, which was Korea's top economic generator.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so then the Korean government promptly just jump ship, put not all but a lot of investment into the entertainment industry to promote Korean culture. So it's like a 20+ year plan, right? And here we are to this day feeling the effects of it.
Okay, like feeling reaping the fruits. And I find it interesting that and I'm sure ever since then, I think the whole world has also shifted to this whole entertainment industry because they have figured out entertainment is what captures your attention.
And
Yeah.
it's one of the fastest ways to spread culture. And once people adopt culture, then it's easier for a lot of other industries to come in, right? Then you have your grocery stores, your convenience stores, you have your, all this food and stuff.
Yeah, and you know, especially I'm sure one of the target audience is someone like me who absorbs a lot. But I think we'll get to that later, lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that note, talking about the evolution of K dramas and how it is a very intentional thing, right, put into place. I think we can definitely say that K dramas have evolved, have improved, and almost like perfected a formula. Do you want to share a bit about the formula?
Yeah, I was gonna say they refine the formula to the dot. And let me read out for you. We searched this on what's the word on
Reddit.
Reddit. Yeah, and out of all the other explanations, we found this the clearest and the best. So I'm gonna read it out, and then you tell me whether you agree with it. So now every Korean drama is about 16 episodes. Like any Korean drama you see, be it from Netflix, TVN, Disney Plus, or whatever, will be 16 episodes. And the episode flow goes like this. Episode 1 to 4 is the what you call the exposition. You unpack the character. Episode 5 to 7 is when the leads they realize they have feelings for each other. Then it culminates in a ding 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 episode, either episode 8 to 9, a confession or a kiss.
Yeah, the kiss is always at episode 8.
Eight,
Or
ah?
9,
Yeah, or 9. So the sun will shine. Yeah, we've seen one in 8. We've seen one in 9 before. Yeah, then episodes 10 to 12 is where it feels good, right? You see, like the weight has been there, the lovey-dovey, the leads are happy together. You like to see that combination of it all. But episode 13, 14 is when things get a little stiff, a little tense. The leads will somehow break up, and they're forced in separation. But episode 15 to 16 is what you call the Deus Ex Machina, makes lead come together again, and then all the side plots are resolved in one neat bow. Give or take 1 or 2 episodes, but that's basically it. What do you think? we have watched enough to say yes. Yeah. So in all of this, right, they have come to realize that this is the flow that will best capture the attention of the masses, to which will segue to then what is then actually the appeal of K drama. And if you're a Malaysian listening to this, now how does it matter to you, and what are the things that you're supposed to be considering in light of knowing this knowledge? So Yan Ping, what are some of your thoughts there? Yeah.
Like we said, right, they definitely have worked out the algorithms to a point where they have perfected all the different things they want to target. But I think I would narrow it down to two main things. One, of course, is the execution of the visual, the audiovisual appeal, right? So their branding is great, the fashion is great, the makeup is great. I remember we were recently watching an American show, but it was set in Korea. So the American girl went to Korea, right? And she was supposed to like mingle with Koreans in Korea. But one look at the supposed Korean in Korea, we were like, no, not Korean enough, not K drama enough, because the skin wasn't flawless, you know, the makeup wasn't done to perfection. And I think that speaks a lot about K dramas, how they put so much work into,
So much thought
yeah,
from
into the
every
visual
angle, every
appeal.
scene, where they shoot it, what timing, what song, when the song appears. So they have perfected or refined to the finest of details.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that appeal is, it's pleasant for the eye, so people will go back to see it because it's their dream ideal world.
Okay, so the first point is that they portray this sort of ideal narrative.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But the second, of course, is the storyline or the theme. And while, there are many interesting stories across different um, countries, different movies, and not to say this particular theme is exclusive to K dramas, but I do feel a lot of K dramas has a very strong emphasis on this theme of sacrificial love and romantic sacrificial love. So you can definitely find this theme in Hollywood, but it's not their main plot. But whereas for K dramas, it's almost like their bread and butter.
I think because for the American scene, for example, and I'm saying this not because Bollywood scene has their own hooks, different from the Russian entertainment industry, to Thailand in the entertainment industry, all have their own hooks, and by hooks is what captures your attention. I think for American, right, the current flow is they milk on the worth of existing stories such as comics, superheroes, and like you hook on to the users desire to see what they've once read come to life. So they do movie adaptations of books and all that, so not really original storytelling in that
Yeah,
sense.
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of original scripts out there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, but I'm saying, like, for Korean, right, this is the one hook that they have chosen to hook latch
Onto.
on for you all to stick with lah.
Yeah, so it's almost always the guy that is the self-sacrificial one. I can think of like Queen of Tears, right? The most recent one that people were watching, and it was almost like impossible. Why is the guy like that? What's the appeal in the girl that will make him, still die for her again and again? Yeah.
And I think therein lies the, if I may use the term, scary, in the sense where it is as if the industry has created this machine that's able to dial up your desires or vulnerabilities at their whim. Someone will go, I have this story and I want you to create this emotion and elicit this for me, and they're like, oh yeah, we know what to do in this format of 16 episodes. Here is what we have to do to dial up this emotion in the person, to create this sense of, like, tug your emotional heart. And they sometimes, you think it's almost impossible, which is, but that's why
But you
they,
like it.
yeah, that they're doing it to you, and they dial up those extremes, because you want to see how the hero comes through for that sacrificial love. Like, wow, that impossible, and yet you still do it. What a nice feeling, and
Yeah.
it gets you hooked. So they have found out that secret
Yeah.
tweak. Yeah.
And in fact, I remember there was one show that slightly went against it. It's called Start Up.
Oh, I enjoyed that show, by
Yeah,
the way.
I
Yeah,
mean, we all
series. Yeah.
enjoyed it, but what happened was they put the sacrificial love character as the second guy,
Yeah.
and it split the whole audience.
Correct, correct. So what I remember Han Ji Pyong versus Nam Do San, and on the netizens were like, "Oh, are you team Han Ji Pyong and team Nam Do San?" And to be honest, but the way the story was told, I think majority was on team Han Ji Pyong, the second lead, but he sacrificed himself in the sense where he let go of the love for the girl and allowed the first guy to just win her over very easily.
But it
In that
was
sense.
really controversial. I had a friend who refused, like she stopped watching because she refused to let she refused to see the other guy win. Basically.
Yeah, but you get my point. That's how it's being dialed up, right? And I think that was even in that controversial sense, it's dialed up to a different take, right? But we watched it because it was very informational also.
Yeah.
On businesses and entrepreneurship. Yeah.
Yeah, which of course there are a lot of side teams in K drama, and you do learn a lot, especially when they revolve around a profession.
Correct.
But okay, so with all these different things in K drama, how does that match up to the Christian perspective?
Ah, you know, when you see these extremes, right, and how they dial in, right, it is actually speaking of an eternal truth of a human character as a whole, right? And we were created to long for these kind of emotions or to respond to these kind of things. And you ever wonder why humanity just responds really well with this sacrificial love idea? I think because when you talk about Christianity, the biggest drama, the extremes of extremes. If you want to follow the K drama formula, the Bible has that formula in a different manner, not in 16 episodes. But imagine this, right? Um, the God created humanity and loved humanity, and His own creation then rebel against humanity. Says we don't want you, right? And hence, because they rejected God, they rejected life, and so they are sin. They are sinners. So imagine this, right? They are sinners, they are unholy, and they rejected God, humanity as a whole, right? And story can end there by just wiping them out. But God, whom so loved all of them, sent his only son from a God to become man and live the life of man to die instead of them dying because they were sinners and unholy. This guy named Jesus was the one that died for them. So you can see that the extreme,
Yeah,
pulling, yeah,
because you have the
yeah,
same reaction, right? These guys, they don't deserve it. They don't have that value, and this other person is still pouring in love time after time and
yeah.
sacrificing.
And you're wondering, well, how could that be? How could that be? And that kind of extremes really. There's a saying in the Bible that he who is forgiven more loves more. There's a parable that was told, and it is that idea where when you understand that extreme gap and yet that gap was closed, then it tells a wonderful, amazing story. And I wonder whether K drama they take on that idea into different contexts of life. What if you were a CEO and a pauper? What if you were brother and sister? What if this and what if that? Yeah,
Well, whether or not it was intentional on their end, we do see that parallel
correct.
in the Christian story.
Yeah,
But of course, there are many things that are not exactly aligned in the Christian perspective as well for K drama. So
indeed.
I think one thing that I would observe is that when I am watching the show, I am the one who wants the to be on the receiving end of the sacrificial love, right? So I just need to sit here, do nothing, be a bad character, or or roll my eyes, whatever, and then somebody will still be falling head over heels over me. That I have to admit is not so realistic, or it's not something
Mm,
that would be advisable
mm,
to
mm,
live
mm,
that way in real life.
mm, mm,
Yeah, and on the flip side, of course, there's also the idea of how could this person idolize this other person so much, right? And I also don't think that we are called to treat another person to such a high pedestal as well.
Yeah, and they are only actors, by the way.
Mm.
And I think one of the struggles that anyone who becomes a celebrity or a slash influencer, what happens is then, um, because they acted so well in that particular character, all of a sudden they have to come up as a role model, a sort of a semi-moral authority figure, because they are being idolized at that moment. So because of their every step is being watched. That's why some says, respect the celebrity's privacy. They're only human. But because we have watched them in this context, we would like to assume that role for them as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one helpful benchmark to think about how we're treating people, whether we're like, oh, I want you to love me to this ultimatum, or like, I totally worship you kind of spectrum. It's just remembering that as humans, we're created in the image of God. And what that means is that every human is of equal value and high value because God created you and God loves you, right? So I should treat you with great respect because you are created by in the image of God.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is the equal value that I have as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's a helpful way to just navigate relationships in general, romantic ones as well.
So which brings us to the question, now that you've known or you've never, if you have thought about this, but now you're brought forward with this question or this reality, should we then continue watching K-drama? What's your answer first?
Well, my answer is yes,
Mm.
but I think also a moderation in all things, lah.
Mm.
I it's a bit problematic if you're binge watching 16 episodes at one go and foregoing your health and food and whatnot.
Which I think either of us have entered that space before, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But if you watch it just for entertainment, I think it's fine. I think a good helpful benchmark is just check yourself how much it's affecting your thoughts or your mannerisms or how you look at life in general.
I think the other thing to be careful of is to be aware, based on the formula that we have explained, it wasn't really designed for your well-being, so to say. It was designed to stir up and hype you up. So it brings you or it draws you into this escapism model, where you're having a tough day or you're having a crappy day, and all you want to do is enter your K-drama world and to see this world doing okay. And if you're watching it in that context, right? I'm not saying you cannot have an escapism, but just know that when you do that, right, you don't really benefit. You escape for a while like a drug, and then all of a sudden you have to face your whole life once more. So it's not so realistic to help you prepare for the next day. That's number one. Number two, at the end of the day, you are not the part of the story. You are fantasizing a possibility, or at least you're subtly lying to yourself that as if you're living in such a world.
Like I'm the main character.
Yeah. I mean, like Queen of Tears did it really well in the sense where it says as it is, right? It made every person that I've talked to so far really cried a lot. So it's Queen of Tears for this actor, the character named Baek Hyung Woo, but then he, in his tears, has drawn all of us who watched it also with that tears kind of thing.
Do you
Yeah.
cry?
I think I teared up at one moment lah.
Did I cry?
You cried in when no spoilers lah, but when there was a form of reconciliation between the lead female lead and the mother or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, I think so. But you see, even the idea of reconciliation is something that people long for, and you watch it with that awareness that these are things that reflect my humanity. But I'm not gonna be so drawn into the whole world because I know that the world before me is reality. Yeah, so that's how I would
Watch it.
have caution in watching it. And I'm saying this not as if I myself can follow by my rules. The way K-drama design is ready to pull you in already. So that's something that there'll be times when I might accidentally binge watch without knowing and all that. Yeah.
So I guess use the drama to celebrate your humanity, but also look towards the greatest human story on why we were made that way.
And for us as Christians, obviously the greatest human story which we find real is the story of Jesus Christ lah. Yeah. But that's for you to find out what is real lah. Yeah. So I guess that's it for now.
Yep. This is the Teo-logy podcast.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.